So much about the
What would you say if I turned into all the things you love to hate? And down my way comes crashing through the rotten beams and window panes.
Hey everybody, what is going on? It is episode 25. It's a marathon here. It's a slow crawl. We're going for 50. We got to 25. We got the quarter. We got 25, and now we're going for 50 here. We just keep on rolling. What's going on, guys? I am your host, as always, Dan Brosman, and God, people are just still losing their damn minds here, man. Super Mario Brothers sealed, blah, 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 goes for $2 million. It's just, is this for real? Is this for real? This is the last time I'm going to talk about any of this stuff. This episode. This is the last time. I'm just done with it. Big time. There's a Miko news. Yeah, we're going to get to that here in a minute because I'm really over that too. Disney unveiled its new Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser adventure. I don't know what else you call it. It's a mile long. But that's been some big Disney news, and I already knew something was going on with that, but I didn't really know what it was until recently. Quake's getting a remaster, which is awesome. It's a classic. I mean, who doesn't like Quake? Polymega got a little bit of news there. You could tell that Polymega is feeling really confident right now in themselves because I have seen more Twitter postings that I've seen in the last 5 years with these guys, or it's pretty much the same in like the last 2 weeks. So, they're feeling good. And we got some other things we're going to talk about. Nothing too major as far as those, but hope you guys are doing good. I'm doing good. I am ready for this heat to be over. I live in the Midwest and it's hot here and it's humid, and I know out west it's been even worse. You hear these people around here this time of year that are like, you shut your mouth, to the people that can't wait for winter time and all this. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you a little bit to those people that don't want the summer to end. You shut your mouth. All of you guys that are complaining about how you don't want the cold and you can't handle the cold and blah, 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 what does it matter? It is so hot and humid here. Right now, you're the same place that you're going to be when it's cold out. You're inside, and instead of air conditioning, it's going to be the heat going. So give me a break, guys. Unless you got a swimming pool in your backyard and you're out there. I am so done with the summer at this point. And a lot of that has to do to the job I do is factory work, so it is balls hot in there. So always ready this time of year for the fall. I love the fall. Who doesn't love the fall? And I feel bad for all those people out west that don't get the changing of the seasons like we do here. I love the fall. Who doesn't like a hot cup of coffee in the morning on a rainy, crisp morning in the fall out on the front porch? Come on, man. I'm telling you. Oktoberfest beers. Come on. The fall is the bomb diggity. What are we going to talk about here? Let's talk about these dopes that keep spending millions on stuff that's not anywhere close to millions. So somebody bought a Super Mario Brothers for $2 million and it was sealed. And what else was special about it, Dan? Well, absolutely nothing was special about it. But you have this group of people now that are finding different things to invest in. And evidently, video games is the thing that they're investing in. And this was sold to an anonymous collector, but it was sold on the Rally Collectibles site. And I had to look this up because this is new to me. I've kind of heard on other podcasts about, how people will buy chunks of games, like pieces of games, which is so weird. This is so weird. And I guess that investors do this with other things, but to say, okay, I don't own this game, I own like 3% of it. I'm like, what? That doesn't make any sense. So then if it goes up in price, then you sell it, and then I guess the profits get divvied up depending on how much of a percentage of how much you own of this game. It's so ridiculous to me, at least. No, it just is ridiculous. And so I went on Rally's website because it said it was sold on Rally's site. And this is what it says on the front page. It says, Rally is a platform for buying and selling equity shares in collectible assets. Together, we really make investing behind ideas, emotions, and communities safe, easy, and accessible. What are you talking about? Investing in emotions and ideas? What are you talking about? That sounds like just a bunch of hot air to me. And look, good luck. Because, like I keep saying, at $2 million, how much meat is left on the bone? I mean, I guess, and I keep saying that, but, now I said that with the $1.5 million, whatever it was that sold a couple weeks ago or a month ago. And I'm like, well, how much meat is there on the bone? Well, now we're at $2 million. This world is full of dumb people. And if you are spending that money, you are dumb. You are dumb. Because there's no way in God's green earth that I look at this stuff and I'm like, dude, that is totally worth that money. No. Not even close, Jack. I don't know. I know I came in kind of hot on this one. I'm just so annoyed with this. I don't know. That's why I'm saying this is it. I don't care. If something goes for $1 billion, so be it. Whatever, guys. But you're not going to hear it from me. And I'm sure, as soon as one of these things sells like this for crazy amounts, everybody's in on it, talking about it. But it ain't going to be me because, I don't care. I just kind of mentioned this one right here. The kind of, hey, I'm closing the door on this. This is it. It's a different world that I just don't understand. And with all that money going back and forth, if people have money like this, isn't there other things better that they can do with this? Like donate it to organizations to help people? Not buying a piece of a video game that's overvalued by like $1 million. I don't know. That's just me. But if you are the people, any of these people that have spent 100,000 plus to $1 million, $2 million on these games, lean in here. I want to tell you something. You are an idiot. That's all I'm going to say. Over and out. On to the next item, which is another thing that I am over and done with here, but I'm going to mention it because I guess I'm going to mention it. I don't know why. The Amico, the Intellivision Amico, the release date got pushed back. It was supposed to come out in October. Everybody knew this was coming. The writing was on the wall, For some reason, about 2 months ago, every YouTuber and dude with a mic just started doing rock bottoms on these guys. And I think a lot of it has to do with Tommy, because Tommy's just such a vocal guy out there. And sometimes I'm just like, Tommy, why don't you just give it a rest for a little bit? Go lay low. Look at Polymega. Polymega laid low for a long time. But, so they're pushing back the release date, but they didn't say exactly when they're pushing back the release date, which is, I don't know, to me, a little odd and concerning if I was somebody who was invested in this. But this is part of the announcement that came out on Twitter. It said, we originally planned to launch Amico in the fall of 2020, but had to adapt during the midst of global pandemic, disrupting our production. Despite our best efforts and now facing new unprecedented international component and supply logistic challenges beyond our control, we want to apologize. We are forced to push back our desired launch date yet again. In spite of these supply hurdles hampering our ability to fill all orders, we are focused and determined to deliver pre-order units by the end of the year. This will also allow us more time to optimize our operating system for the future game development. We want to ensure that those who have anticipated the Amico for so long get a chance to enjoy it as soon as possible. Of course, we will keep our customers and interested parties informed and updated on our continued progress. So, yeah, this is the last time I'm really going to talk about him, unless it actually comes out. You know, I really have a hard time believing in a lot of that. And, you know, a year ago when I really started talking about this, or it wasn't even a year ago, it was probably during the wintertime when I started talking about the Miko, despite what everybody else was saying in the pylon, I did honestly believe that this thing was, I believed it was already going to be out and this thing was legit and blah, blah, blah. And I didn't think it had as many problems as I think it has now. Because my feeling is that yes, there is probably still issues with getting the parts and supplies to make these things. But I think the bigger issue I'm starting to worry about as far as this thing coming out is the development of games and trouble with the controllers. I think this thing has a lot of problems that they still have to figure out. I really do. And I know a lot of people like to badger these guys, and I'm not trying to do that. You know, and just because these guys just keep badgering them, it doesn't mean that everything they say probably isn't true. And I really think that there's something going on here that really speaks to how far along this thing is in development. I don't think this is the problem here isn't, or the issue here isn't nearly as much getting the parts in the pandemic. I think it's the development of this thing. I don't think this thing is ready to go for final, manufacturing. I don't. And it really worries me, for these guys that pre-ordered. I know there's a lot of guys out there or people that are just really looking forward to this thing. And God, I just feel so bad for them. And I know that most of them realize that when you invest in something like this, it's a crapshoot. But it's still disappointing, for those people. I really hope you guys get this. If it comes out before the end of the year for you guys, God, if I was a betting man, I'm probably going to have to say no to that. I could be wrong. I mean, who knows? I mean, who really knows besides them? But I kind of feel like there might be a little bit of a panic going on there, trying to figure, hey guys, when are we going to get this thing out? Good luck, guys. I hope it works out for you. But yeah, that's going to be the last time I talk about the Amico for a while. I got a email from Polymega. Send out emails for address verifications prior to shipping. And I've gotten one of these before. Almost a year ago. It was supposed to launch last year in November, which was that wasn't even the original launch date, but it was November. And I remember the week or two before it was supposed to ship out, they sent this email. And then like a week later, they're like, yeah, it's going to come out in March. So I got this email and I was like, cool. And then my other part of my brain was like, I guess. Is it going to come out? I think it's going to come out. But there's another thing here that's funny. And this is this kind of a short little thing here with Polymega. But they had I mentioned them being on Twitter a lot more now. And one of the posts they put out there, and I don't know if this is them trolling people or if this is actually for real, but here's what they wrote. They wrote, the ship carrying the first container of Polymegas has been spotted off the coast of California. We're now giving ourselves permissions to be excited, and you should too. I don't know if they're trolling people here. I say this because they announced the release date without actually having the consoles in hand. And either they're trolling people, just trying to mess with all these people that have been complaining, or it was just a bad decision to make any announcement before you actually have in hand. If that's true, God, if this last couple of years have taught us anything, is to not assume, as far as anything with electronics goes, that anything's solid until you have that thing in your hand. And that rings true with me getting this machine. I will believe that it was shipped when I am holding it in my hands. When I open that box and it is actually touching my skin. So, I don't know. I just thought that was funny. It's just like, because, of course, everybody in that Twitter stream was like, are you serious? You don't even have it yet? And I'm like, are they trolling these people? Or is that for real? I don't know. But Polymega, I am excited. I've always been excited. We've all been excited. You just haven't noticed because you weren't around. You were, I don't know, in a fallout shelter somewhere. Disney World. I love Disney World. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Disney World. And it's going to lead into where I'm going with the next topic. When I was growing up, my parents loved Disney World. My dad still does. My mom, unfortunately, is no longer with us. But God, if there was one place in this world that she loved to be more than anything, it was Disney World. My mom used to always call herself a Disney nut. And so every couple years, my parents would save up for 2 years. And every couple years, that's when we'd go on like our vacation to Disney World. And it was great. I love Disney. It's a great place. I will say, though, it had been a while since I'd been there. And I went there, was it 2 years ago? Going on 2 years ago. We took my son. And Disney, it is a certain kind of thing all into itself. And if you've ever been to Disney, you know what I'm talking about. It's expensive. Man, is it expensive. But it's expensive and it's wonderful and it's crazy because there are so many people there, and everything is going to cost you an arm and a leg. But the service and what you get with it is phenomenal. They will bend over backwards for you. And when I say Disney's a thing all to itself, I just don't know how to explain it. It can be the greatest thing ever, and it can be the worst because of the pricing and because of, trying to get on the rides. When we went this last 2 years ago, it was so difficult to get on a lot of these rides because of these things called fast passes where you get 3 a day. You have to plan your days ahead in time. Every day you have the time when you eat, when you go on certain rides, if you can get on those rides with a fast pass, which means you get 3 fast passes when you go, and then so you can schedule a time to go as long as there's times available. Otherwise, you're waiting in line. And because of these fast passes and people cutting in front with these fast passes, the regular line grinds to a halt. And so if you don't have a fast pass and this is a popular ride and you want to get on it, you're screwed. You're not getting on that ride unless you go like to an early, when the park opens early and there's not a lot of people there or blah, blah, blah. But I mean, Disney is crazy. It is not what I would call a relaxing vacation. It's a vacation where you're nonstop doing shit. So, now Disney owns Star Wars, and, that's kind of been a love-hate relationship as far as I go. I've talked about Star Wars and Disney many a times on here, namely my not so much love for what, Kathleen Kennedy and Disney has done to the saga films. But it was like, I want to say maybe a couple years ago, I started hearing, Disney's going to make a Star Wars hotel, and it was going to be in the shape of like an actual Starcruiser, like a spaceship. And I was like, that's cool, thinking that it was just going to be another one of the resorts. And they got super nice resorts out there. Okay. So I was like, oh, okay. So, you can go to Polynesian, and that's kind of like your luau kind of place. Or you got, like the Beach and Yacht Club, and that's kind of like the ocean kind of motif. And the Grand Floridian, which is, beyond what I can afford. But like, that 1920s opulence or whatever. And now you're going to have, the Star Wars Starcruiser, which is, everything's going to be Star Wars themed. But so they came out like 2 or 3 weeks ago and said, hey, this is coming out next year, and it's not going to just be a hotel. So let me tell you what I'm talking about here. So this is called the Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser, and it's a 2-night immersive adventure. And I'm sure you're going, well, what does that mean? So basically, in a nutshell, what this is it's just not a hotel. I mean, it is a hotel too, but it's not like you go to the hotel and then you check in and then you just go to the different parks. I mean, I suppose you can, but that's not what this is really about. So you go there, and as soon as you check in, from the minute you check in, you're like immersed in this like Star Wars world and kind of like a storyline that unfolds over the next 2 days. Okay? And we're going to get more into kind of how this goes from what I understand online. Because like I said, this isn't out until next year. So I'm trying to think where I want to go with this first, because there's points I want to make, but I don't really know how I want to do this. Well, first of all, let's talk about the pricing here, because this is the one that really just makes me scratch my head here. Okay. So, screw that. We're not going to do the pricing first. First, we're going to go over like what actually you get when you're there, because then I want to see if this is really worth it. So this is what happens here. So I'm reading, and they have this on their website, the Disney World website. And so they give you like an example of the itinerary once you show up. So you show up, and it says day 1, you arrive at the terminal at 1 p.m. So 1 p.m. So the day is already half over, day 1. Okay. It says 1:15, you're in a launch pod to the Starcruiser, whatever that means. Then 1:45, you have a ship orientation. 3 o'clock, you have light refreshments. 3:30, Sabic lessons, which I have no idea what that is. Muster at 4 o'clock. Captain's reception at 4:30. And dinner featuring live music at 5:30. Okay. And then it says at 7:15, there's an Outer Rim regalia, which I don't know what that means either. And then it says, right in there, it says unexpected story moment. It says, for example, you might prove your mettle to join an elite smuggling ring or hide a stowaway to help the resistance. And that's like at 7:30 this happens. So, everything's planned out here. And they kind of inject you into a storyline. So, but before you even get into that storyline, you're already deep into the night. Like 7:30, you're already, you got there at 1 o'clock, and now this. It says 8 o'clock, you have bridge training, and then 8:30, like special arboretum entertainment. So, there is nothing there in that itinerary that's really blowing my skirt up right now. Day 2. 7 o'clock is breakfast. Then at 8:15, you take a transport shuttle to Batu, which I think is what they're calling the part of the MGM Studios park where that's Star Wars. I think that I've been there. It's actually really cool. And then it says at 8:45, Star Wars Rise of the Resistance. Whatever that means. And then, at 9:30 it says another story moment. You broker a deal with a heist or arrange to steal a ship from the First Order, blah, blah, blah. Those are just all examples of what it could be. 10 o'clock, Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run. And then lunch at Docking Bay 7 at 11:15. And I know I'm kind of reading over this, but I just want to, this is what they're telling you, like what you can kind of expect here. Transport shuttle Starcruiser at 12:40, lightsaber training at 1 o'clock, droid racing competition at 2:30, build model ships at 3 o'clock, Sabic tournament at 4 o'clock. I have no idea what Sabic is. I don't know what that is. Cocktails and Sublight Lounge at 5, Taste Around the Galaxy dinner at 5:30. Oh, and then there's another story moment at 7:30. And then it says 10 o'clock, a spectacular finale. Day 3 starts off with a breakfast at 8:30, and you launched a launch pod to terminal at 9:30, and your experience is now over. Okay. So, I'm willing to bet you it is a lot cooler in person than me just talking about it. I would hope. Okay, so I just told you like what their example of 2 days here would be, and of course, and then you stay there in the rooms, and the rooms actually have windows, but you're not looking outside. It's actually like you're looking out into space, and there's ships that fly by, and it must be like a big like TV screen or something, but it looks like you're actually on a Starcruiser, and everything is 100% Star Wars, and that sounds awesome. That really does sound pretty badass. If you're a Star Wars fan out there and you're not going, that sounds pretty badass, then I don't know who you are. You ain't a Star Wars fan. Okay. So now that I've said all that, so now we have some sort of an idea of what to expect when you get there. Here is the pricing. For 2 guests per cabin, so like it's just a couple, it is $4,809 for 2 nights. For the 2 nights. If you have 3 guests, it's $5,299 for 2 nights. And for 4 guests, so let's say you have, you and your wife and a couple kids, $5,990 or $5,999, $6,000. Guys, $6,000 for 2 nights. And when you get there, you've already, half the day's already gone. It's 1 o'clock. Guys, I ask you, out of that itinerary that I just read from their website, if you have a couple of kids and really want to go to this, are you telling me that that is worth $6,000 for 2 nights? Hell no. Look, like I said, I am sure that this thing is amazeballs when you're there and in it, and you know, with the actors and whatever kind of thing you're doing, and it's just all Star Wars, and you might even get like costumes to wear while you're there, depending on which side you decide to be on, because it does say that you can, as far as the storyline that you're in, you can decide if you're with the Resistance or the First Order. And that's cool. But to say that for a family of 4, or even just 2 people going, it's $4,800. What are you talking about, guys? So that being said, who are you catering to here? Who is going to buy into this? So, because, and this is where I think Disney went tone deaf with this. Because, look, it is no secret that Disney, to go to Disney World, is so expensive. When we went a couple years ago, we hit over $3,000 lickety split, and that was us cutting corners on where we were staying and whatever. And it was still, I mean, and that was like I priced it out like what I really wanted to do, and I was at 5 before I blinked an eye, and I was like, okay, we got to go back and redo some things here, because I am not dropping $5,000. And it's not a fact of I can't afford it, but I'm not willing to, you know what kind of, no vacation, that's like 3 vacations or 2 vacations. That's crazy. $6,000, guys. I keep saying it, $6,000. No. I mean, you would have to let me fly the actual Millennium Falcon and blow up an actual Death Star and like save the universe in reality for that to be worth $6,000. Okay, so let's come down to reality here, folks. And for those of you at Disney, let me give you a little dose of reality here as far as this. When we went to Disney, we had this thing planned for months and months and months. Just the 3 of us. You have to plan ahead, buy a whole bunch. We wake up the morning to fly to Orlando, and my son is sick with croup. His sheets are soaked. He's got a fever sky high. And now we're not going. And now it's a mad dash to push this thing back, okay? And luckily we got the insurance so we could do that. But what I'm trying to say here is, and we ended up going, I think like 3 days later. Well, what I'm saying here is if you are going with kids, and the younger, the more sketchy it is, things happen that you don't account for. You know, they get sick, or, something happens where they don't want to do stuff, or they just aren't feeling it one day, and, this and that. And if you're a parent out there, you know what I'm talking about. Kids don't go along with the program all the time. They just don't. It's just part of being a parent and dealing with kids and them growing up. They just don't. They just don't. So if you're going to drop like $6,000 on this or 5 or 4 or whatever, that, and you're taking, let's say, I don't know, anything under 10, like age-wise, kids under 10. That is a big gamble, because this whole thing is predicated on you going and doing all these things. Because that's what this thing is all about, is you get off this thing and you're going on an adventure, and now at this time we got to be here, and this time we got to be here, and blah, 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 your whole day. And I know they say that you don't have to do that. But mofo, you just spent $6,000, so we are going to do that. Because otherwise you're just paying just to not do this stuff. Because the money is really in the experience. And not just to be there. At least that's what it seems like for me. Because, I mean, it is in the description here. It's a 2-night immersive adventure. And to get your money out of it, you're going to have to be immersed in that adventure. And kids don't always want to be immersed. They don't always want to be immersed in what you got going on. And I just look at this and I go, how many parents are going to dole out this money and end up sitting half the day in a hotel room because the kid's not feeling it? Or like maybe the mom sits back with one of them and the dad goes with the other. And so now not everybody's getting the full experience. It happens. It happens. It's raising kids. And boy, that's an expensive miss out. And who's going to pay this? Because now with having it that price, and I'm not saying that the price isn't warranted for what you get here. As far as the itinerary I read, that's not worth it. But I got to believe that Disney, once you get there and experience this, that you're going to feel different. That being said, who is going to be able to afford this? Because now you're at that price point, you're cutting a certain amount of the populace out. And Disney, you're already cutting a certain amount of the populace out with just how expensive it is to go to Disney World anyway. But at least on that and just a regular Disney trip, there are certain hotels you can go. There are ways to be able to go to Disney that are affordable for people that don't have a lot of money. It's still going to be expensive, but there are ways of people really want to go that don't have a lot of money. And then you have people like me who doesn't have a lot of money, but I'm not poor either. I have the money where I could do this. But in my mind, I'm going, dude, my patio in the back a couple years ago cost almost that amount of money. I'm like, do you know what I could do with $6,000? Do you know what other kind of vacation we could have and then take that other money and spend it elsewhere for stuff that we really need? It's going to be people that have money, that are, maybe middle class, upper middle class to rich. Or people that just, fuck it. Let's put it on the credit card and then we'll pay it off. I don't know. It just, I'm excited for it. And I'm also disappointed because I know at that price point, I'll never do it. I'll never do it. I would be hoping I'd hold it up too much. I'd be expecting too much at that price point. At that price point, this thing is going to have to wow me. And if it doesn't, I am going to have buyer's remorse for months. If it doesn't live up to my expectations. At that price point, and especially with having my son's going to be 8 here in a little bit, and when he got sick, and then we got sick when we went down there, and then we spent a whole day in the hotel because all of us were trying to get a little bit better so we could have the rest of vacation. No, maybe if it was just a couple, let's say a man and a wife are older and the kids are all gone, or you never had kids, but you're both big Star Wars fans. Yeah, maybe. 4,800 still a lot of moolah though. That's still a lot of money, man. But maybe you didn't have kids. You're a big Star Wars fan, and you go, and that I think would make more sense. I don't know. I hope I'm making sense. I don't want to be critical of this, but it just, the more I heard about this as it was getting closer to announce, the more I was like, oh, really? And then they announced it and gave us a lot of the information. I was like, I'm like, no. It was disappointing. It was just disappointing for me because I know that I'm probably never going to do it. There's no way I could ever expect a wife to want to spend, $5,000 just for 2 nights. No. So here's the kicker too. Here's the kicker. So, you scroll down and it gives you all the information, and it looks fabulous. But at the very bottom, at the end, it says, and this is on the Disney website, it says, we encourage that you extend your vacation with a stay at the Disney Resort Hotel before or after your Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser adventure. So what they're saying is on top of the, I don't know, you got 4 people, on top of the 6,000 you just dropped. Now go have a normal Disney vacation that's already expensive too. It's not 6,000 for two. Well, I mean, it can be for 2 nights. What am I saying? But okay. Unfortunately, that would not be me. I guess that's all I got to say about that. We'll see. Maybe after a year or two of this thing running, we'll get deals, and maybe if you go to a travel agent, they'll have deals and ways for you to get in there. And who knows? Who knows if this is just going to remain like an experience, or they just change it to be like a hotel. Or maybe they'll build a Star Wars hotel that's just a hotel that you can go and stay at, and you don't have to spend, an arm and a leg. Well, you're going to spend an arm and a leg anyway, but you don't have to mortgage the house to go and stay at it. And you could just have a normal Disney vacation. But, it's going to be a Star Wars hotel and not the experience. So I hope that's what happens, because that would be nice. We are going back to Disney too next year. As I rip Disney about how expensive they are and what the hell, I make plans to go. So yeah, it's not going to be till later on next year, so that'll be fun, I'm sure. Quake Remastered is coming out for the Switch, PS4, PC, and Xbox One. This is I like this. This is so neat. I love when they do stuff like this. I didn't know this was coming out, or maybe I did and I just forgot, but I love this. This is so great. And I know Limited Run Games is gonna sell the physical versions for the Switch and PS4. I don't know if Xbox One is getting a physical release. Limited Run Games doesn't do anything with Xbox or Microsoft, but I don't know if Microsoft itself is going to do anything. But I do know for PC, if you already own it on the old Quake on Steam or just PC, it's going to be a downloadable kind of like an expansion pack or something. It's not going to be, I don't know, the full game. I think I'm guessing if you don't own it, it's going to be the full game. But if you already have it, it's just going to be like an upgrade that you download. So that's really cool. And it will be able to be played on the PS5 and the Xbox Series X in the backwards compatibility mode, which is pretty cool. It's going to run at 60 frames per second and 4K on some platforms. Obviously not the Switch, but the funny thing is, I think that's the platform I'm going to get it on. I really would like it on the Switch. On the PC, I want to say that it's going to run faster. I read that somewhere, and then I couldn't find it when I was putting my notes together before I started here. But I'm almost positive that, just like with anything else in gaming, when something comes out on the PC and across the consoles, you're going to get the best version of it probably on PC. And actually, another thing that I found that was really interesting is that the Modern Vintage Gamer was actually one of the developers and had been working on this for a while. And it's really funny because he put a video out the other day about it right after I seen that it was being released. Now, it hasn't been released yet, I don't think. Or maybe that's just Limited Run Games hasn't done their pre-orders yet. Anyway, but he did his video and was like, yeah, I've been working on this and I had to keep quiet, and it was really hard sometimes to keep quiet, but I'm really excited about this, and it looks really nice. And I've seen the trailer. I've seen footage of this thing being played on like the Switch and stuff, and it looks great. And I actually already have Doom. I don't know if it's remastered, but the original Doom, I ordered it through Limited Run Games. I don't know when it's actually gonna come, but yeah, I don't know if that was remastered or not. Those old games, I'm a sucker for. You re-release them on one of these newer consoles, I'm gonna buy it. I'm just gonna buy it. I am. So I'm a pretty big Aliens fan. The movie franchise. Well, not the franchise. The original Alien movie and the second one, Aliens. And they're both really different movies. The first one, Aliens, which was a Ridley Scott movie, is definitely a classic. And God, that thing was made in like 1979, and it still holds up today. And that's more, I would say, of a horror game than anything. It's still super scary. And it was on the other night, and I turned it on, and my son was sitting there, and I'm like, oh, no, you'll never sleep again here. And I shut it off, and he's like, well, wait. He's like, I want to watch that. I was like, no. So maybe when he gets a little bit bigger, yeah, I'll let him watch that. But no, it's that thing's just way too scary. So that's the first one. But then you get into the second one, and it was done by James Cameron, and he was the guy that did Titanic and Avatar and Terminator and Terminator 2, I want to say. And Aliens 2 was more of an action movie with the Marines that go in with Sigourney Weaver to find out what happened to the colonists. And anyway, so for the longest time, Nerf has always made guns that kind of look like what was in that movie, but they weren't really the same gun. And now they're actually going to make, a M41-A pulse rifle. That's the name of it. I was searching for the name here because they just don't call it the pulse rifle. They got to do the M41-A. It's like, okay, just call it the pulse rifle from Aliens. But anyway, so yeah, they're putting this thing out, and it's up for pre-orders right now on the Hasbro Nerf website. The pre-orders, I believe, go to the end of, let's see here, to the end of October. So October 31st. So Halloween. And it is $94.99. So it's no small chunk of change there. It's a little pricey. I'm not saying that I pre-ordered it, but I'm not saying that I didn't pre-order it. I may have. I think it's an open pre-order. I'm guessing. It doesn't say that. I didn't see it anywhere. But I got to assume since they give you a date to where you can order it till, so otherwise they would just leave it no date, and then whenever it sells out, it sells out. Anyway, so yeah, it's pre-ordered, and then it says the estimated, the approximate ship date is going to be October of next year. So you got a whole year to wait for this thing to come. But I mean, it's this, this thing is totally not a necessity for anybody. It's just, it's going to go up on a shelf and be displayed. I know that's what I'm going to do. I already have the airsoft pulse rifle that they came out with. One of my friends is a big Aliens fan, and he sold it to me about 4 or 5 years ago. And I have it in my game room here, although I don't have it displayed very well. I gotta work on that a little bit here. This winter, I'm gonna reorganize a whole bunch of stuff down here and do a game room tour. But yeah, so, and then I'm gonna have that come next year. I'm really looking forward to see how nice this thing is. I mean, in the end of the day, it is a Nerf gun, but it is gonna have a little extra stuff. It's gonna have that LED counter on the side, which tells you how many rounds you have in there, which is it's so cool. I'm loving this. I love it. I love that movie. As a kid, I can't tell you how many times I watched Aliens. And I'm not gonna say that Nightmares didn't come with that, but I still love them. I still love the movies. Now, any of the Alien movies after that, well, that's a whole nother segment, and I don't feel like getting into that this time. But maybe next time. I have a friend that's really into it. Like I said, the guy that I bought the pulse rifle from, and maybe I'll have him on, and we're going to talk a little Aliens. So, all right, guys. Well, thanks for hanging out with me. It's been fun. Unfortunately, my co-host wasn't here. I don't know that that's going to work out. It's just so hard with people and their schedules and with families and everything. It's just, I don't know. If people show up and want to get on here, I'm going to let them get on. I mean, whatever. No big deal. We're still going to do it. I'm still going to be here. I mean, come on. Where would this be without me? I mean, really. All right, guys. But once again, thanks for hanging out with me. It's been a real pleasure talking to you guys. Until next time, good night and goodbye. Hello?